Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The promo for Meghan Markle's long-awaited appearance on MasterChef Australia has just been released ahead of its air date. And let me tell you this, it is just as nauseating and as diabolical as you can imagine.
The MasterChef kitchen has never been short on surprises, but this one takes the cake.
Is everyone ready? Here we go.
Here we go. Whoa!
I loved it. I loved watching all the guys hug and connect and just be proud of each other because they've all worked really hard.
The Duchess of Sussex is no stranger to cooking in front of cameras. Her TV series with Love Meghan is up for an Emmy. But setting a cooking challenge was a taste of something different.
All right, so you have quite the bounty here. Really wanted to do things that gives you something to play with. So you have, of course, some citrus, you have lemons, you have macadamia nuts. Some beautiful local Australian honey, Brussels sprouts. My kids eat Brussels sprouts.
That's impressive.
That's impressive. Wow. I'm surprised I didn't have some of Meghan's jam on display while they were at it. Do you love it how she just presents herself as like the everyday woman? I'm Meg, like I'm here in Australia, like I'm ready to go. Now, this was shot, of course, in April when the gruesome twosome were in Australia. Remember that shocking tour that they did where Meghan wore all these clothes and then put it online because she wanted to try and make a profit, even when she was going to visit the victims of, the Bondi terror attacks, because it was all about money, wasn't it? A money-making venture for these two. But this MasterChef appearance, we're finally seeing it. And let me tell you, it just gets worse.
There is a lot of pressure in this kitchen. I don't like to cook that way. I like to cook in a really relaxed fashion. So all I can say to the competitors was to just remember to have fun, to keep a sense of humor about it, and to cook from the heart.
Oh, what wonderful advice, Meghan. Thank you so much for that. Yes, cook from the heart. Is this the same cooking like you do, Meghan, when you're cooking your dog biscuits or when you're teaching us how to make jam? Is that what we're talking about here? Or when you're sitting around a table telling us how to make Christmas crackers and how people in the UK cross their arms and crack their crackers? Is that what we're referring to? Because, of course, Meghan's an expert in the table. She knows everything about how to arrange a table. Now, there was one more promo that went to air ahead of the release date, and this has to be my favourite so far.
Food and cooking to me is really a love language. I think it's such a great way to connect. It's something that can feel sentimental and meaningful, and it's how I show my nurturing and love for my friends, family, and my kids.
Oh, Meghan, is that what you tell Harry? Is that what you say to Harry? In between your conversations about how bad your finances are? That's my love language, Harry. Look, this is going to be an absolute disaster. Now, we've been waiting for this moment, haven't we? This MasterChef drop. And judging by those 3 clips that have been posted online, I don't know why anyone would watch. And I guarantee you it's going to be an absolute ratings flop because Meghan is nasty, absolutely nasty. And she can't help herself. Because even look at this. So one of the MasterChef judges on the show, Po Ling Yo, she was reportedly left upset after unintentionally making a mistake by introducing Meghan Markle as royalty. Now, it's understood that Meghan and her team were frustrated. They were angry after instructing MasterChef producers to specifically avoid using that term royalty. But the judge actually opens the segment on the show with, "We've had MasterChef royalty in the kitchen before, but no one like this. All the way from sunny California, please welcome to MasterChef Australia, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle." Now, we did hear a couple of months ago, reported by news.com.au, that Meghan was really frustrated by this royals introduction. And now we hear that the judge, she was left upset and she actually wanted to reach out to Meghan, but was advised not to bother. So, brace yourselves. The Sussex circus from Australia continues a few months later. Will MasterChef get an Emmy for this as well? I don't know. We're about to find out. Now, meanwhile, Meghan can talk about how lovey-dovey she is and her love language is cooking, and that's how she does it for her family and friends. But there's trouble in paradise. Meghan and Harry could be headed for Splitsville. Is this ball and chain marriage over? Because the briefings from both camps are completely at odds right now, and reports suggest that the marriage of Mr. and Mrs. Spare has indeed broken down. Now, you might remember that we were told Meghan would be joining Harry for that entire week while he was in the UK. Then she, of course, trotted in last minute behind closed doors with the kids in tow, nowhere publicly to be seen. Now, we were told it was a lovely reunion between King Charles and the wayward Sussexes last week, but really, we now know it was very sinister. Harry's camp is entirely at odds with Meghan's, and the suggestion is that these two are putting on a front for the camera. I had host of the Nerve show Maureen Callahan on Danica Goes Global this week to explain it.
Harry's camp, meanwhile, my colleague at the Daily Mail, Alison Boshoff, is reporting that a source who is not quite sympathetic to the Sussexes, listen to this phrasing, it's fascinating. What I quote, when Harry was madly in love with Meghan.
Oh.
He was happy to let her take the lead, was. Now, that same source said, the veil has been lifted.
Key word there, was in love. And the desperate duo are exactly that, desperate to portray themselves as madly in love, when really the Hollywood marriage is all but over. Joining me now is Talk TV host Kevin O'Sullivan. Kevin, really wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you for joining me. I want to start with the murder of former Minister Anne Widdecombe. It's been revealed she was hit on the head with a hammer 21 times at her home as she ate lunch in an attack that was actually caught on camera. Prosecutors have told the Westminster Magistrates Court that the attack was carried out with a ferocity of violence, and a 28-year-old has since been charged. Kevin, this is truly horrific.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, the details are just coming out now. What is, obviously, the actual fact that it turns out she was bludgeoned 21 times with a hammer is a shocking detail to emerge. But what is more shocking is that on that weekend, on those few days after we found out that Anne Widdecombe had died, the Devon and Cornwall Police, which is the constabulary that was in charge of the investigation, apparently told the Prime Minister, the then Prime Minister Keir Starmer, that it looked as if this was a burglary that had gone wrong. In other words, Anne had disturbed a burglar, the burglar had rounded on her. So that Prime Minister put that out. And we now know that obviously it wasn't a burglary that went wrong, and that it was caught on security film. So the cops must have known from the first moment her body, or just about the first moment her body was discovered, that this wasn't a burglary went wrong. They even suggested that it might have been a domestic fall, that she fell over and hit her head. So what we're all asking in Britain is, why did the cops deceive us, deceive the Prime Minister and deceive the people of this country? Why did they lie? Why did they say that this could have been a burglary gone wrong, could have been a fall, when all along they had on camera Anne Widdecombe, I must say, allegedly being hit 21 times with a hammer. So that is the source of the scandal here. And also, of course, the other thing that adds to the story is the sheer shock to learn of the ferocity of this attack on a much-loved 78-year-old woman.
I mean, it's just absolutely appalling, the standards being carried out by police. I'm just trying to, figure out what on earth they wanted to hide by it. I mean, look, who knows? I find it extraordinary, because at the heart of this, an innocent woman has allegedly been killed. And, no matter what your politics are, it doesn't matter. You should never take your politics out in violent ways. Take it out on the ballot box. I think it's just truly, truly horrific. Seriously.
Well, there's a long ongoing problem here in Britain. With what we call two-tier policing, that the police have got a long track record in these kind of high-profile cases of kind of deceiving the public, not wanting to tell us that perhaps the perpetrators might have been Muslim. It could be terrorism. It could be murder. They always want to keep the masses placid, by telling us, oh, no, it's just a fall. It could have been a burglary. This is not the first time that the coppers in Britain have been guilty of deceiving the public. It is a very disturbing and sinister syndrome that's getting worse in this country.
Yeah, Henry Novak, prime example. That
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah. It's just it's tragic, really. It really is. Let's talk about Keir Starmer. Obviously, he's out, he's done, he's finito. Thank goodness for that. I want to ask you what you think his legacy is, Kevin. It's been a bizarre few years to say the least, but if you had to describe his legacy, how would you do it?
2 terrible years of full-on disaster, non-stop catastrophe. He didn't put a foot right from day one. His first decision was to axe this Rwanda scheme we had, which was to ship our migrants out to West Africa in order to dissuade them from coming across the channel illegally in their droves. He ripped that up on day one and called it a gimmick. That was the Tory plan. And from then on, our migrant crisis got worse and worse and worse. Then he cancelled the winter fuel allowance for pensioners. Old people get like 300 quid, 500 Australian dollars or so every year to pay for fuel keep them warm in the winter. He cancelled that. And there was such an outcry. Then he had to U-turn. Then he took away tax-free inheritance on farms, so farmers were furious. He got all these nicknames, he was called sort of Farmer, Harmer, Starmer, Two-Tier Keir, Never Here Keir, because he was always flying off abroad to attend foreign functions, because when he was abroad, people took him seriously. Back here, he was so bad, we just laughed at him in the end. His legacy, he will not be remembered kindly in history. His legacy, I think, it will be that he was the least popular, least successful prime minister in modern British history. And I include Liz Truss, who only lasted 43 days. So he was just a catastrophe from start to finish. Absolutely hopeless. A man not fit to do the job. He wasn't suited for the job. So he's gone. Good riddance, but it looks like it's going to be worse now. So hey ho.
Oh, you're doing really well over there, Kevin. Sometimes I think we've got issues in Australia, but then I look over to you and I think, goodness me, the UK is doing it pretty bad. Well, let's talk about your new Prime Minister. So this is Andy Burnham. And I point out, obviously, he wasn't elected by the people.
Andy, the undemocratically unelected new Premier of Great Britain. Great, isn't it? Yeah,
it really is. And so he was the former Greater Manchester Mayor, now parachuted to be the leader of the United Kingdom. Nobody seems to know what his policies are. What exactly is he about? Tell us.
Well, they call him the Messiah without a mandate. All he did is win this small by-election. 25,000 people voted for him, or he got a majority out of 25,000 people who voted. And that has propelled him to Downing Street. He's waltzed into number 10 Downing Street, unelected, no mandate. We've been subjected to what many people feel is virtually a communist coup because he's very left-wing. He's disastrously, frighteningly left-wing. He wants to take us back to the socialist 70s, the 1970s, the worst decade that most Brits can remember of that age. It was terrible. Unions bringing the country to its knees, weak Labour governments, economy in disaster. We had to go to the International Monetary Fund to bail us out because we literally went bankrupt. That's the decade that he wants to recapture the glory of. So he's now 2 days in to his administration, and the wheels are already coming off the Burnham bus. He keeps announcing all these policies. In 2 days, I worked it out today, he's announced nearly just about £1,700,000 worth of policies. Oh. And none of them are costed. None of them are funded. He said, I'm going to solve, get rid of, end rough sleeping. with £340 million. That won't end rough sleeping. £340 billion wouldn't end rough sleeping. B, where's he going to get the money from? Then he says, I'm going to put a £2 cap on bus fares. That turns out that will cost £450 million. He hasn't got the money. Where's he going to get the money from? And then finally, he said, I'm going to ease your financial worries. I'm going to bring down energy costs, energy prices, by scrapping VAT, value-added tax, on your energy bills. That's going to cost the government £850 million. It's not funded. Where's he going to get the money from? And guess what? That £850 million saving will save each one of us lucky British citizens per week. 86 pence.
What?
Less than a pound. But he hasn't got the money for any of these policies. They are not funded. They are not costed. It's just like promises. How are you going to pay for them? Don't know. It's fantasy politics. The wheels are coming off the Burnham bus, and he's only been in Downing Street for 2 days. It's a catastrophe. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's like he's got all these thought bubbles, but no actual genuine policy and how he's going to get. And the other thing that I noticed as well, Kevin, hey, I feel like he just wants to be like this, just call me Andy, I'm the everyday man, with his shirt on at that address that he gave outside of Downing Street, no tie. Look, in my view, I just didn't feel like he looked prime ministerial. It was just like he's just, yep, I'm in the job now, I'm just going to give it a go. That's the vibe.
Well, that is his vibe. I mean, that's the word for Andy. He's just good vibes Andy. I've got these policies. I'm going to give you free bus fares. I'm going to give you cheap energy bills. But he's not, because he can't afford them. So fairly soon, his fantasy politics are going to collide with reality. And in terms of the black T-shirt and all that stuff, he loves to paint himself as a man of the people, comes from the north, a working class man from north. Well, he's not really. He went to Cambridge University. He's got a first-class honours degree in English literature. This is not, this guy didn't just come up from the coal mine. He's a lot more middle class than he likes to let on, but he likes to paint this picture, this portrait of a man of the people, a down-to-earth, solid, northern working class guy who's going to do the best for the people of this country. But actually, all he is a boring, unimaginative, old school Labour 70s socialist. And all of Labour's 70s socialist policies led this country to rack and ruin, put the nation on its knees. He wants to go back to that. Doesn't bear thinking about, really.
No, you're right. Another boring bank clerk like Keir Starmer was. It's really on a great trajectory right now. Kevin, you mentioned his views on homelessness, and that's one of his main policies. And there are even suggestions that maybe Prince William could be about to team up with Andy Burnham. In 2023, Prince William actually launched Homewards to demonstrate homelessness can be ended, and Burnham actually supported the Prince and his Royal Foundation through the launch. Should Prince William bond with Andy Burnham or stay as far away as he can?
Well, I'd advise the latter, but I suspect they may well forge some kind of a pact. I mean, no politician's going to say, I'm against solving homelessness. I don't want to do anything about rough sleeping. Of course they do. And so Prince William, as the royals tend to do, is a massive do-gooder causes. Tackling homelessness is one of them. And if he can forge some kind of pact with the Prime Minister, I'm sure that they will. None of it really will amount to much more than a hill of beans. I mean, it won't mean anything. Homelessness won't be solved. Rough sleeping won't, as Andy promised, be ended. But, it's all about the virtue signalling. So, yeah, the William and Andy show may happen. But what will it amount to? Not very much.
No, that's for sure. Well, look, let's talk about the royals now, because Prince William is reportedly facing immense pressure to be the bigger person and forge a path towards peace with his wayward brother, Prince Harry. According to Women's Day, the future king has no intention of making this easy for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. In fact, William is reportedly demanding a legally binding peace contract before he even considers a sit down with his estranged brother. And look, Kevin, I don't blame Prince William. Why would or how could he ever trust the Sussexes ever again?
Yeah, there isn't going to be a peace contract. He's not demanding a peace contract. What he's demanding is that he never wants to see his brother again. Neither William nor Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales, even want to be in the same postcode as Harry and Meghan. They particularly despise Meghan, and they don't like what Harry has become since he teamed up with Ms. Markle. So the feud between the sibling rivalry, the brotherly feud between William and Harry, I think is insoluble. I don't think there is ever going to be a deal. In fact, Harry and Kate William and Catherine were furious that the king even entertained them when they came back to Britain last week. The king, Camilla can't stand it. All of the royal family, including the king, absolutely detest Meghan. They believe that she's ruined Harry, and they no longer like Harry. William just doesn't want to know him anymore. So all this talk of, there's going to be some kind of peace pact. There's been talking. William and Harry have not been talking. That's not true. And they're not going to talk. As far as William is concerned, that interview with Oprah, his spiteful little book, Spare, in which he trashed the entire royal family. Don't forget, in the interview with Oprah, he basically called the royal family racists. So did she. Yeah. This is unforgivable. There's no forgive and forget after what Harry's done. Harry is naive, immature, and not very bright. He believes in the dimness of his mind, of his intellectually challenged mind, that he can surmount all of these problems and they can, reforge the lives they once enjoyed. And then that he and Meghan can, in fact, have that half in, half out royal lifestyle. In other words, coming to Britain, doing a few royal functions, opening a few libraries, cutting a few ribbons, all that stuff they do, and then going back to America to earn money. That was the half in, half out system that the late, great Queen Elizabeth II specifically banned. She said, you're either in or you're out. There's no halfway house. Harry is obsessed with getting that halfway house. The king, soft-hearted soul who just wanted to see his grandchildren, Archie and Lilibet. I think he probably would go along with some kind of arrangement, allowing them to and fro between the two countries. William, who, by the way, is basically in charge of the royal family. It's not the king, it's William. William, no way. Camilla doesn't want it. Anne doesn't want it. Edward doesn't want it. None of them want it. The only place where this reunion is some kind of reality is in the fevered, mixed up mind of Harry. It's what he desperately wants because he's come to realize his American life is a disaster. He's obsessed, by the way, right now with the fact that polls are revealing that Americans have really fallen out of love with Harry and Meghan. Well, Harry, I've got bad news for you. So have Brits. So he's obsessed with trying to get back some of the life he used to enjoy. And the royal family aren't going to let him have it. It just isn't going to happen. Meanwhile, Meghan isn't at all keen on his half in, half out plan either. And that apparently is leading to severe marital problems. He wants to spend more and more time in Britain, particularly taking his kids over to see their granddad and all that, getting closer and closer to William and all that, and then doing some duties, performing some duties. because he's really missing his former life here. She doesn't want that. She sees their future as an all-American dream. She doesn't want to go back to Britain, and that is causing serious friction. Reports of stand-up rows. It's all going wrong. I mean, they need money. He needs money. She needs money. That as ever business of hers is ridiculous. Selling your candles for $64 and box of jam for $15. Do me a favor. It's ridiculous. So that is just a pipe dream that she refuses to accept, is never going to work. So she's not making any money to speak of. He certainly isn't making any money. He's just lost millions of pounds in that ludicrous case against the Daily Mail over here, in which him and Elton John and Liz Hurley accused the Mail of phone hacking, illegal information gathering, criminality. 40 reporters brought into the dock. Not a shred of evidence to prove any of their allegations. The judge chucked out all 97 accusations against the Daily Mail. And that will leave Harry and his cohorts with a £50 million legal bill. Meghan's furious about that. Meghan is so furious about that because they got big cash problems, and she warned him to stop this ongoing war against the British press, which we all knew he would never win, can never win, and now he's lost it spectacularly. That's another source of serious friction between these two, between the gruesome twosome, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, that she says, I told you so, you shouldn't have carried on, but he's lost all this money. Meanwhile, he's going to continue this lost cause of his ongoing legal battle to get armed police protection from the British government when he comes to Britain with his family. He's never going to get that. He's wasted millions on that. I mean, this guy is just an idiot. He's an idiot. And Meghan is increasingly frustrated by that. And all these forlorn campaigns he's got, to get armed cop guards and to, defeat the British press. He calls himself the Dragon Slayer. No. Well, guess what? The dragon just slayed him. Massive cash problems. He keeps spaffing money. And you know that phrase, Danica?
Yeah.
When money walks out of the door, love flies out of the window. That relationship is in trouble on a number of levels. But when there's no cash in the house, there's rarely happiness.
No, you're absolutely spot on. And you're right. I mean, the Spare, he lives in this delusional land, and you described it as not bright, and he is very low IQ. And they are doing this half in, half out lifestyle, the hokey pokey, one arm in, one arm out, but they're just users and abusers. They just want money, they want fame, and they're both idiots. They're both as bad as each other. And you mentioned the Oprah interview, and before we let you go, Kevin, I just want to play you a little bit of this, because Oprah Winfrey has revisited that infamous 2021 Sussex interview. Here she was speaking to Vanity Fair.
I've always valued independence. I've always been outspoken, especially about women's rights. I mean, that's the sad irony of the last 4 years, is I've advocated for so long for women to use their voice. And then I was silent.
Were you silent? Or were you silenced?
The latter.
Okay, very nice. I don't think I've done it since. I don't know where the hell that came from. Whoop. Okay. I wanted to be clear because was she silenced? Were people telling her not to talk? That's why I said that. I said it for clarification, because I didn't want later to hear, well, no, it wasn't that. It really was that I was silenced. They wouldn't let me talk. So it was all for clarification.
So, Kevin, she says it was all for clarification, but in that interview, she didn't push back at all. But it almost seems to me as now she's trying to walk away from that interview. How did you perceive that?
I think she's been haunted, old Oprah. I mean, it made me laugh over in America. I used to live in America, and, shall we say, they have different worldview to those of us in Europe and in your great country, Australia, as well. And they all think that, Oprah is the greatest journalist who ever drew breath. Well, we watched that interview with Harry and Meghan. Was it an interview? It wasn't very good journalism. That's for damn sure. Oh, there are racists in the royal family. Yeah. Any chance you could ask who they are, Oprah, or just going to leave it at that? And do you remember when Meghan, leveled that appalling accusation that members of the royal family had speculated when she was pregnant with their first child, with Archie, what color the baby would be?
Yes.
And Meghan and Oprah reeled back in horror. They did what? As if this was absolutely the worst kind of racism you could possibly imagine. That's not racist. It's not racist at all. I've got friends who are mixed race. One partner is a person of color, the other white. And one of my friends, they had a sweepstake on what color both families had a sweepstake on what color the baby would be. That isn't racist. So she didn't push back, or she didn't further inquire when Meghan alluded to interesting things like, the royals are racist. Which royals are racist? In what way are they racist? Oh, you say that they speculated on what color your baby might be. Why do you think that's racist, Meghan? None of that. Instead, she went, they did what? So I think what Oprah is trying to do with this Vanity Fair interview is to somehow excuse what was an excuse for an interview. I mean, it produced good, obviously it produced a worldwide reaction. And the way those two were talking was compelling, but it could have been a lot better if Oprah had interviewed them properly, which she didn't. So that's what I think she's trying to do here. She's trying to say, no, it wasn't a bad interview. That's why I was doing this, and that's why I didn't do that. No, Oprah. It was just a bad interview.
Yeah. She was protecting her friends at the time, whether or not they're still close. Who knows in this weird and wonderful world of the Sussexes?
Apparently not. Apparently, Oprah and the Sussexes are no longer close.
Well, there you go. I mean, I'm not surprised. They've isolated everybody in their lives because, they do live in this bizarre parallel universe. Kevin O'Sullivan, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining me on Danica Goes Global. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, Danica.